Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Today's show is focused on Alverno College's second annual State of Wisconsin Girls Summit happening virtually on Saturday, October 10th. And here to talk about that and more is Jodi Eastberg. She's the Executive Director of Alverno's Center for Academic Excellence and the Research Center for Women and Girls. How are you, Jodi?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. And you know, I am all for girl power, and this summit is all about that. So before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about Alverno. It's a liberal arts college that was founded in 1887, providing undergraduate programs for women, and has been named the country's most inspiring college by the Wall Street Journal Times Higher Education 2 years in a row. And I think that's a big deal because when we talk about girl power, Alverno definitely puts a lot of emphasis on really empowering women.
It's true. It's such a privilege to work here at Alverno because of that mission. And we are completely dedicated to the lives of women and girls, not only in our community, but beyond. And so something that's really exciting, for example, that's happening now is our new Thea Bowman Institute for Excellence in Leadership. That's a new scholarship for 20 Black women in our community and beyond to come to Alverno on full scholarship and to be supported in their development as leaders. And so we've started that this semester. That builds on a legacy that we have of supporting students and creating a really welcoming environment for women to be here. So it's a great place to work.
I love that. And if you would, tell us more about your role as the Executive Director of the Center for Academic Excellence and the Research Center for Women and Girls.
Absolutely. So in my role, I play a couple of different important strategic and leadership roles at the college, in that I am creating programs and supporting students who are really academically driven, who really want to push themselves beyond the classroom and to do work so that they're being prepared for high-level leadership positions, that they're prepared to be community leaders, that they're prepared to go into graduate school, and to do a wide variety of information. Part of that is really engaging students in the research process. That's really an important part of developing as a learner and a leader, to be able to work with data, to be able to research issues and problems, and to be able to find solutions. Mm-hmm. So through the Research Center for Women and Girls, we oversee a series of research projects that are focused on improving the lives of women and girls in Wisconsin and beyond. And so we work with students, we work with researchers in order to address issues. One of the things that we do, of course, is the Status of Girls in Wisconsin report, which is an important resource for people in Wisconsin to understand the lives of girls in our state, and to, you know, have a resource so they can understand how should we be addressing issues for girls.
Yeah, and so when you talk about let's say a couple of the top things right there on the list when it comes to things to be concerned with, when it comes to girls and young ladies, what would you say are at the top of that list?
Well, what we found in our last report, which was published last year in 2019, was that there was a really concerning bit of data showing us that girls are struggling with mental health concerns, especially anxiety and depression, but also things like suicidal ideation and self-harm. So you can see statistically that girls really are affected by those concerns more than their boy peers, but really it's something we should be looking at for all youth. So something like that I think is important to also think about and contextualize in what's happening right now with this global pandemic.
Absolutely.
Because that kind of concern that we could see clearly last year is only going to be exacerbated this year. The second thing, since you asked for two, the second thing is really that girls are engaging for the first time since we've been doing the report, which we've done for about over a decade, is that girls are engaging in media and computers, video games, and then social media more than boys for the first time. And we're seeing that girls are ubiquitous users, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. Girls really explore their identity, sometimes in really positive ways. They show leadership on social media, for example, by advancing causes, but it's also concerning because girls are more likely to be the victims of cyberbullying. So that's a statistic we really want to look at and think about from the girls' perspective of, again, right now, as we're more and more pushed to our devices, how are girls experiencing their social media use, and how is that relating to their mental health?
Yeah, definitely something to keep in mind and to think about. We had you on last year to talk about the first annual Girls Summit, and I really enjoyed just hearing all about your keynote that you had chosen for last year, Marley Diaz, who at 14 is an author and an activist that started the movement called 1,000 Black Girl Books due to the lack of Black girls that she found in books that she was reading. And Marley is now 15. And she's the host and executive producer of Bookmarks, which celebrating Black voices. And that's a live action preschool series featuring prominent celebrities and artists to read children's books from Black authors. And she has taken it to the next level because that is on Netflix. And I thought, wow, you guys really know how to pick them, don't you?
Exactly. Well, one to watch. Marley was so inspiring last year. We had hundreds of girls lining up to get her book signed. She did this great book about Marley Diaz Gets It Done, and so can you. So, you know, just like really empowering girls to think about like, how do you take on an issue and move it forward? And look at where she's gone. You know, she basically was just frustrated with something in her own experience that she really wanted books that represented her, her friends, her family. And she put that out there, and she created a movement around reading and around representation and children's literature. And she's taken it to Netflix. And I love that she's executive producer. Like, she's not just the host, she's a producer. And that's what we want to see.
Yes, and it goes right back to that girl power attitude, because you recognize at a young age when these young ladies have the passion, and they also really have the determination and the, I guess you can say, the confidence to make things happen. You already know that really the sky's the limit for these young ladies. So to see her grow just in, you know, a year span is amazing. And this year is no different. Of course, you've had to reimagine this year's Girls Summit at Alverno due to the pandemic. So you have found a new way to do it, but the ultimate thought is the show must go on, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The girls need this. We need to engage them, and I want to hear from them. We need, as researchers, we need to hear from girls about their experience and what they're doing. And so we've reimagined it. It's not, you know, like everything right now, it's not ideal because we'd rather be together and in conversation together, but I think we have a really excellent program set up.
Okay, so what is the approach this year for those parents at home, or maybe even some young ladies who would love to be able to Zoom in and join all of the fun things that's happening on Saturday, October 10th?
Sure, so we're gonna have a virtual event. It's all virtual, and it'll start with Mari Kopney, our keynote speaker. And hopefully we'll talk a little bit about Mari, but she's just as exciting and inspiring as Marley was last year. She's gonna tell her story and help us to think about what it means to be a young activist and a young leader. That'll be followed by a panel of civic leaders talking about what it was like for them to get into a position of government or in political office. And then that'll be followed by a group of youth leaders who have causes that they're working on right now, both from the very personal local level to more expansive projects. So we're really excited to share those stories with our audience, and we welcome girls to come with their questions so that we can be in conversation. We have a way to take questions from the audience, and we hope that they'll participate in that way.
Yeah, and so if someone wants to get registered, where exactly do they go, Jodi?
Sure, you can go to ALVERNO.EDU/research-center, and you can look for the Girls Summit website. You can also just Google Alverno Girls Summit and you'll find it.
It's right there. And you definitely made a point when you said that Mari Kopney is just as exciting as the young lady you had last year. These young ladies not only inspire and motivate their peers, but, you know, as adults, we get chill bumps watching them as well. It kind of makes you feel like an underachiever. They're so amazing.
I don't know, you're pretty good, so.
So Mari is known as Little Miss Flint. And when you talk about Flint, Michigan, most people will automatically think of the lead water crisis that is still actually taking place as we speak. But Mari wrote a letter to then President Barack Obama. And from there, she just didn't stop.
Exactly. And it's been really inspiring, and it continues. So the Flint water crisis is really serious to think about, that there are cities in America and communities in America that don't have safe drinking water. And that's really her passion. And she draws attention to the fact that there are systemic issues in our communities where disproportionately people of color are impacted by environmental issues. She really helps us to understand that problem, and then also draws attention to her community specifically, which still needs assistance and help in overcoming this struggle. And it's something that Milwaukee faces as well, so I think it'll be really relevant for our community, and also really inspiring because of the way that Mari engages it.
I totally agree. And she's 12 years old, and the audience at home can be excited because we will be talking to Mari and giving you an opportunity to see why those like Jodi at Alverno College chose this young lady to be the keynote to inspire so many other young ladies who have desires and dreams. And I think it's really needed to remind young ladies that you don't have to be a certain age to have your voice be heard. And that's really the example that I think Mari sets for people of all ages.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
And so if you would give us the information once again on how to get registered for Alverno College's second annual State of Wisconsin Girls Summit. And once people are registered, go ahead and tell them what they need to do from there.
Absolutely. So the event is Saturday, October 10th from 9 until noon. There are 3 sessions. You can go to alverno.edu/research-center or alverno.edu/girls-summit. You can also Google it, Alverno Girls Summit. And there you'll find the registration information right there. Just click. It's free for girls, and it's also just a voluntary donation for adults. So everyone's welcome to join us. You need to register. We will send you a Zoom link through an email, through the email address that you register with. And then, as we all kind of are learning now, you click on the link and you'll be admitted into the webinar.
I think it's going to be so exciting, and I will also be taking a small part in this Girls Summit on Saturday, October 10th, so I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Jodi.
Thank you for joining us.
Jodi Eastberg is the Executive Director of Alverno Center for Academic Excellence and the Research Center for Women and Girls. For more information and to register for their second annual Girls Summit happening virtually, again on Saturday, October 10th, as she's told you, you can go to alverno.edu/research/Girls Summit. It's all there for you. When we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we'll meet this year's keynote speaker, 12-year-old activist Mari Kopeny, aka Little Miss Flint, right after this.